Part 3. Justice and Accountability, a New Era for Athlete Protection Threatening, Nassar's Trial and the Power of Survivor Voices. The trial of Larry Nassar in 2018 was not just another legal proceeding. It was a moment of reckoning for the entire world of sports, especially USA Gymnastics. After years of silence, hundreds of survivors were finally able to confront the man who had stolen their trust, their dignity, and their futures. This was the moment when the world saw the full scale of the abuse that had occurred and heard, for the first time, the voices of the women who had suffered in silence for so long. Over the course of Nassar's trial, more than 156 survivors gave victim impact statements in court. These women, athletes, mothers, daughters, and sisters, came forward with incredible courage to tell their stories. They described the abuse they had endured as children and young adults, the manipulation and the exploitation they suffered in the name of medical treatment. The public was left stunned by the courage of these women and the depth of Nassar's betrayal. Each of these statements was a powerful, emotional declaration of survival. For many survivors, this was not just about seeking justice for themselves, but for the generations of young athletes who had been victims before them and would likely face similar dangers if the system did not change. These statements, often filled with raw emotion, made it clear that Nassar's actions were not an isolated occurrence, but part of a deeply ingrained system of neglect within USA Gymnastics. The impact statements were broadcast across the world, and millions watched as women shared the unspeakable pain they had suffered. Simone Biles, the most decorated gymnast of all time, also took the stand, her voice breaking as she described how she had been preyed upon by Nassar. For her, the trial was a turning point. It was no longer just about gymnastics. It was about taking back control, reclaiming her voice, and standing in solidarity with the other survivors who had been denied justice for so long. Rachel Denhollander, the first woman to publicly accuse Nassar, was one of the survivors who delivered a profound impact statement. She spoke not only for herself, but for the other survivors who could not be there. Her words became a rallying cry for all survivors of sexual abuse in sports. Her voice, initially silenced by shame and fear, now echoed in courtrooms and living rooms around the world, pushing for systemic changes that would protect athletes in the future. The long road to conviction, the importance of accountability. Nassar's trial was a significant moment in the journey for justice, but it was far from the end. Nassar's crimes were egregious, and his sentencing was a long-awaited moment of justice for the victims. On January 24, 2018, Nassar was sentenced to 40 to 175 years in prison for sexually abusing young gymnasts.